So, having looked at the Daily Mirror from Tuesday, February the 21st, it's time to have a look at the Times. And as we can see, a far more text-heavy, picture-free front cover. We have the usual formation on the Times these days of three main stories. The splash, Brexit deal may trigger resignations, political story, as we would expect. We know the Times, published by News UK, remember, is a centre-right newspaper. That means they lean towards the Conservative Party, but they do it in a less kind of overt, aggressive and emphatic way than newspapers such as the Daily Mirror, the Daily Express and possibly the Sun. We have a picture of President Joe Biden meeting Zelensky on his visit to Ukraine and an associated story. Biden promises weapons on trip to Ukraine. And the same story as the Mirror splashed with, finally she can rest now, saying Nicola Bulley's devastated family. This story pushed to the top of the front page, but it is covered. Those are motive covers. These stories are still covered. This has been obviously a huge story across all media platforms over the last week or so. And on the skyline, we have reference to kicking us to stories within the page of the newspaper, more features stuff, how to stop your sugar craving, and smashed it, confessions of a clumsy art insider, which I believe refers to this, you can see this looks like an inflatable balloon that you might get at a kid's party, but actually is a work of art by American pop artist Jeff Koons, worth somewhere in the region of several £1 million, which has recently been popped by some popped up art patron in New York. Let's delve inside the front, inside the Times then. So page 2, we get the weather. Look at this. We get a offer subscription, save 50%. Newspapers like the Times, like all newspapers, they are desperate for readers, they are desperate for revenue, and they are presenting offers to try and get you to subscribe to become a regular reader. We have a little advert puff here for Times Radio. Remember that kind of synergy, the way in which the Times is now spread across platforms into radio. There's a big development in recent years from the Times trying to take on 5 Live, Radio 4, speech-based radio stations, another way in which the brand name can become indelibly associated with the provision of news across all platforms. Range of stories here: junior doctors vote to strike for 72 hours in paid disputes, falling gas prices to help ease cost of living crisis, return of the office cubicle aids video calls. Real mixture of stories. Over onto page 3, again, hard news. We're getting a very different kind of news than what we might see, which is more human interest, celebrity-led in the Mirror. Here, Cambodia's looted treasures returned. This reference to the daughter of a British art dealer hands over $50 million of antiquities lost during the Khmer Rouge terror. We get an article about the Roald Dahl controversy. Roald Dahl's novels centre a bit of a storm in recent days as they are being kind of decontaminated, detoxified for modern readers, and Prime Minister Rishi Sunak wading in on that particular issue. Let's go over on to page 4. What do we find here? And we get a double page spread here on the Nicola Bulley story. Lots of different angles about the discovery of the body, some analysis, interview with a spiritual medium. So, newspapers like the Times cannot afford to overlook this story. It's Pancake Day, so we get some little choristers, some lovely little choristers flipping pancakes. Beautiful. Allies must give jets to Kiev, say former premiers, and here's a little political sketch, the kind of satirical take on politics that you get for an ABC One audience via the Times. Looks sweaty and dirty to appear more trustworthy. BBC tells journalists they like having digs at the BBC. They are an arch enemy of a newspaper like the Times, which of course is funded by Murdoch, who is very much against a licence fee and public service broadcasting. Here are those pictures of Dan Walker. Were we told they were exclusive in the Mirror? Maybe not. And Emma Thompson, not above celebrity stories, But rather than Peter Crouch and Abby Clancy and Amanda Holden, we get a classier brand of celeb, a more ABC1 brand of celeb in Emma Thompson for the Times audience. 2 pages of new political news now on 8 and 9. This Brexit deal that they were trying to thrash out with Northern Ireland. We go over the page and now we're into the Scottish political scene, which is the after the news that Nicola Sturgeon had resigned as First Minister. Over on to page 11. Again, another story that was covered in the Times. The inquest into the killing in this killing spree, Jake Davidson in Plymouth. Flipping over the page onto page 12, an advert for Sky. I think the first advert. So we're a bit light on adverts. Advertising revenue may be plummeting in line with the audience deserting newspapers. Some royal news. Prince Harry. King Charles celebrating the fact he recently came out. No, he didn't. He was lauding the troops of Ukraine. Camilla seeks unsung heroes to be honoured during coronation, so the build-up for the coronation. Judi Dench, like Emma Thompson, one of those kind of, the celebrities, a constellation of stars that, newspapers like the Times absolutely worship. Over on to 14. More sort of softer news, report into the 4-day week. You're no longer the head of our church. Rebels warn Archbishop Justin Welby, Archbishop of Canterbury. We have a story on page 15, 60s car that I think belonged to Peter Sellers. Again, perhaps dating the target audience, this ABC1 target audience, as more than likely going to be, we're looking 35 plus, probably 45 plus, probably 55 plus. The Times also going in for a campaign here, Clean It Up Water campaign. So an environmental campaign, greenwashing, I think is a phrase that often gets used. Not a political campaign, but showing that they are a newspaper that cares. We go over on to page 16, and we have a tickle of the spine, like stroke patients use knife and fork. So some, again, that balance of news with some good news. And then we get a story on vibrations, and we get a nice picture of a glamorous woman being sort of depicted next to this, objectification, bit of Lisbeth Van Zunen for you there. Then as we get on to page 17, a McDonald's advert, McDonald's breakfast, we're ABC1, we read the Times, doesn't mean we don't like an Egg McMuffin. We get the Times diary, which is kind of full of a very different kind of gossip than the gossip you get in the Mirror. Story on intelligence and whether it's success. We flip over. Now we're on page 19. Fashion. It's always Fashion Week somewhere. And this one appears to be London Fashion Week again. So we get some people looking cool. I think cool and stylish. Oxford took cash from drug firm despite link to US opioid academic. I think that's the Sackler company who are responsible for that. Again, wide range of global news. 16 British skiers injured in Alps crash. Have to be British, of course, for it to make the news. That's what News Values is all about. Things that are local to us, relevant to us. We've got a lot of news then, so we're over onto page 20. Here we're in the Met, victimised ex-policewoman for racism expose. Over onto 21, a film review. Golda starring Helen Mirren, even, just your 1 star out of 5. Maybe one to miss that. Quite a few adverts though we can notice now. Daughter wins jump jet will battle. Interesting. Rogue in sex assault on colleague. And then we get on page 23 into the comments section. So this is the kind of, you get maybe 1 page of comment in the Mirror. You get several pages of this, as we will see in the Times. These are opinion pieces. This one is by William Hague, former Conservative Party leader, showing the way the newspaper skews right in its politics. Over the page, we get Melanie Phillips, who is again a very notorious, long-standing columnist for the Times, and on the right, Giles Corran, a very divisive figure known from television, very, very prominent writer for the Times, and again, one who is known, associated with the right. the Thunderer column after Dahl, who is next for Puffin's sensitivity police. You see what they did there by Roland White. Again, they see this censorship of Roald Dahl as the sort of the march of the woke liberal left who have to be defeated. So they're taking that tone with those. Scottish Labour must wave the Union flag. So here's another political part, but we can see we get a whole range of political shades of debate of different shades on the political spectrum. So it's not like they just ignore Labour. They are referring to Labour. We get the satirical daily cartoon image there, which is, I think it's to do with Vladimir Putin hurling everything at Biden at the TV for Ukraine. Letters to the editor, very, very important traditional aspect of newspapers, quality newspapers like the Times. Then we go on to the leaders, the Times editorials, Biden in Kiev, the Environment Agency failing to prevent farmers from poisoning rivers, and a celebration of the film All Quiet on the Western Front. So a range of different things. And then we go over onto page 28 and we get the designated section for world news. Again, this kind of deep, more involved, engaged with the entire world journalism is what readers of the Times would expect. Remember, a reader of the Times is unlikely to read every article in the newspaper, but they know that they can dip in and out of that paper and they will be able to find all the information they want. So we got 2 pages here of Ukraine coverage. We've got Kenyan predatory bosses on Kenyan tea plantations trade work for sex. A real global outlook. We've got stories about Iran. We've got stories about Australia. Paris gangs drives around stealing data from phones. Salvador Dali. So we've got a real range of global stories. As we flick over the page, and here we are in America. We're in New York. And I'm going to take this, I'll come back to the Times 2 section in a second because we flip over onto the business pages. We've got our world markets, commodities, currencies, and again, this is the kind of information you would expect for an ABC1 audience. So we have M&S. Notice that even on the business pages, they have 3 separate pictures of women. So they've got this story about M&S giving its website a sporty boost, but they choose to decorate these with pictures of women. Objectification, the way in which the female body as spectacle could definitely be invoked. Van Zunen's theory there. 33, 34, 35, then more business. 36, 37, even more business. 38 and 39, yeah, you got it, more business. Look at the advert for Times Luxury, the best edit of the hottest handbags, watches, cars and spas, and an expert take on tech, travel and philosophy. You will sign up for this monthly newsletter. This is something all newspapers are doing. They want your email address. You will send you newsletters. It will be full of adverts. It will be full of links. It's another way of engaging the readers. But notice this sort of focus on the premium, on the luxury. Notice, obviously, the image of the the bare-shouldered sultry beauty that is being used to advertise this and promote this and attracts the eye of the business reader as they flick across the business pages, which still keep going. We do have quite an extensive take on business and still business and markets and business. We're over onto page 43 now. And, Farrow stain-resistant trousers. Would you believe me if I told you that when I was at school, it was the mark of cool to have a pair of Farrow trousers? You probably wouldn't, but it was, trust me. Page 45, another plug for Times Radio, as we get the business, consumer goods and share prices and all of that. Yeah, you can probably find this stuff instantly on the web, but there's still a use for it somewhere. We go over onto 49, what they call the register, and here we get the obituaries. Again, this is the kind of deeper, more involved reporting that you just don't find in the popular press. And here's an obituary for Dickie Davis, who was a long-time presenter of ITV's Saturday afternoon sports show, World of Sport, an iconic figure for many, 2 more pages of obituaries and some shorter obituaries. The Court Circular, what's going on at Buckingham Palace, or what did go on at Buckingham Palace yesterday. If you want to know, dig into that. We've got weather, we still want weather. And then as we get to 53, we have the sport, starting with all the horse racing info. Another piece on Dickie Davis there with Morecambe and Wise, say staple of TV. We get some tennis, cricket, a full page of cricket. You're not likely to get that in possibly will in the Mirror, possibly won't. Some rugby union, more rugby union. It's the Six Nations. And then we head into football news now on 59. Henry Winter wading in on the Manchester United ownership sort of issue. Selling up to Qatar will give Glazers the last laugh over fans who loathe them. And there's the green and gold. And yes, we do still sing the songs even when we're winning. So quit with that lazy one. Moyes, talking of Manchester United, Moyes is 1 defeat away from the sack, or people who were once of Manchester United. Still clinging on as I speak here, though. And preview, 2-page preview for that evening's Champions League game. Who will prevail, Trent Alexander or Vinny Jr.? Spoiler, very much Vinny Jr. And onto the back page, it's a rugby player in a mask, and Klopp, Real Ultimates Football, football's ultimate test. You failed that test. And there's the crossword. For many people, the most important thing in the newspaper. Quick flick across to T2, times 2, which is the sort of daily features, lifestyle, sort of more entertainment-based aspect of the publication. You can see we are very much on board with this Roald Dahl story. I was censored by sensitivity readers. Now they're on to Roald Dahl, so it's Kate Clancy. We have a columnist, Robert Crampton, so this is more kind of lifestyle, sort of silly, frivolous kind of column. Here's the bit about the cartoon balloon that was popped. The best action films with its culture, arts. We have some advice, again a playful article about everybody's favourite member of the royal family, Prince Andrew. 2 pages of health. Again, is this targeting a female audience? A piece on Bruce Willis, who, as you may be aware, recently made public, has been diagnosed with dementia. Piece on sugar. Why women need to be more aware about heart disease, very much targeting that female readership, as the health column, health pages of newspapers tend to do. Here we can have our puzzles. We'll love a puzzle page, and the TV, review of last night's TV, and of course lots of focus on the TV listings and more references to things that we can listen to on Times Radio and that then end up in podcast form. Jane Garvey and Fee Glover, who they poached from 5 Live and Radio 4, very big star attraction for Times Radio to attract that particular ABC One demographic. Over the page, more puzzles, more crosswords. I mean, you've got a full puzzle book here of all kinds of different things, and even more. And an offer to get the app, a digital subscription for less than £1 a day. So constantly promoting the publication to get readers purchasing it. So that was the Times, published, remember, by News UK, ABC One audience, 45, 55 plus readership. A lot of the articles skew female, very deeply engaged with politics, business, and international global news, far less occupied with the human interest and the celebrity-led, but those stories are still there.